Bubba Ray, Devon Dudley. And there's one thing you can testify about, that these two have reached pro wrestling immortality as inductees to the 2018 class of the WWE Hall of Fame. Guys, congratulations on such an incredibly well-deserved honor. You join Goldberg in this star-studded class Friday, April 6th in New Orleans, WrestleMania 34 weekend. I'll start with you, Bubba. What's the best way you can really sum up what this means to you guys?
Well, I mean, I think honored is one of the words that comes to mind. I think anybody who gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame has to be honored. I'm proud of myself and Devon and what we were able to accomplish. And it's a big deal in our industry to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Means that you're in a select group, and it is a big deal in the world of sports entertainment.
Devon, about the timing, I mean, at what point do you get in the back of your head, hey, we could get this call. We deserve this. We have the right resume. When did that sort of click to you?
I think the minute that we stepped into a WWE ring, we always knew that one day we would get this call because, Bubba and I have clicked on so many levels when we got together, starting from ECW, and knew that we were a team to be reckoned with and that we could hang with the big boys if we ever got the opportunity to go to WWE back then when we first started. And when we did get the opportunity to go, we just went from there. I mean, we were on fire. I mean, with us, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, I mean, making history was something that we just did every time we stepped in the ring. And at that point, it was just no stopping us. We just knew that if the WWE would let us be us, we would be extremely, good and be able to accomplish exactly what we wanted to do, and that's be the best tag team in the history of the business.
Well, I'm interested in that right there because you're certainly the title of most decorated can't be argued, right? I mean, you go down. I think right now it's 18-time champions, unless I'm shortchanging you. But at some point along that way, the idea of you guys legitimately being in that conversation of greatest of all time became real. Like it wasn't a numbers or longevity thing. We as fans started to accept this. Is that something that's automatic for you guys because that was your goal, or was there a point where that just became so humbling where you guys looked at each other and said, this is real. We have entered that category. Teams like the Road Warriors, whoever your favorites, on and on. I'm sure that was your goal, but when did that really become a real thing for you guys?
Well, the number is 24. I mean, so just like factually, we are the most successful tag team in the history of the industry by winning 24 major World Tag Team Championships. As far as me and Devon legitimately being the greatest tag team of all time, I think in the world of sports entertainment and pro wrestling, the best or the greatest is really subjective. You can't argue that me and Devon are the most successful because we are, but I've always said that I'm just happy to be mentioned along with those other great teams, the Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, the Arn & Tullys, the Hart Foundation, the Freebirds, all of those great tag teams that came before us. And now for people to say that we might be even bigger and better than them, it definitely is very flattering. But at the end of the day, me and Devon are quite humble. We will never sit here and tell you we are the greatest of all time, unless, of course, the little red light is on the camera. Then we'll tell you that we're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Exactly. We're picking up, and we always said this, we're picking up where the Road Warriors, and other great tag teams have left off. We watched tag team wrestling growing up. We idolized it, and we studied it. And it shows from the first time Bubba and I got in that ring and became a tag team. We knew what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. And the great thing about us is that we didn't take no for an answer. We just went out there and did it when other people didn't think we could. And that was, I think, the biggest thing that Bubba and I had to face in our career, because back in ECW, we weren't really supposed to be an act to be reckoned with. You know, we were considered as a joke at one point. Bubba was stuttering. You know, it's got like 9 other Dudleys coming from all different places. You know, it was like a ha-ha moment. And then when me and Bubba got together, that ha-ha moment became real and it became serious. And that was when the people started taking us serious because of what we were doing in the ring and the commotion and the chaos we were causing.
I want to talk about the chemistry here. Why this tag team has been able to have this kind of success? You know, what's the secret for the two of you? I mean, your longevity alone, like I mentioned, is, you know, Hall of Fame historic worthy, but most guys can't stay together that long and A, get along, and B, you know, command that type of love from the fans year after year. How has it worked for you guys?
I think the word is unselfish. Me and Devon's physical chemistry in the ring is one thing, but the real success of our chemistry is because we were both unselfish and we were very comfortable sharing the spotlight. We knew how valuable we were to each other. We knew what we had created in the Dudley Boyz and Team 3D. We created a tag team that was known all around the world. And we did everything that we could possibly do with it until we could do no more. As far as chemistry in the ring, me and Devon didn't start out as a team. We started out against each other. But in fighting each other and having these wars, we realized real quick, well, hell, if we're this good against each other, how great could we be together? And honestly, from the very first night, me and Devon hit our very first 3D on the Sandman in the ECW arena, we knew.
I love it. I love it. Devon, an extension of that question is I think fans would be very interested in knowing how you guys met. You know, what's that story the first time you sort of locked eyes and you know, summed each other up?
Well, we're brothers from different mothers. That's how we're brothers. It's always been like
we have the same father and different mothers. Haven't you been listening for the past 25 years?
How dare I?
I mean, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but I mean, again, brothers. I got a lot of respect for you, but if you don't know by now that the Dudley Boyz are brothers with different mothers, then there's something wrong with you.
Very fair, very, very well done. But I don't know. We talked about how good that chemistry was. Was it instantaneous the first time you did work together?
It really
I think
was.
It was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bob.
Go ahead, Devon. Go ahead.
I think it was. I mean, like I said before earlier, Bubba and I were on the same page, you know, where we would do something and we would want to make it better. It might have been good, but we wanted to make it better. We wanted to make it great. And that's the one thing. We never settled. When you settled and you become complacent, that's when that's when you can't even remotely try to be the greatest. You have to go beyond that. And me and Bubba have always tried to outdo what we did every time we stepped in that ring. And I think that showed in our work. That was why we were so good together, because we were both on the same page and wanted that. If there was a mess up of any sort in that ring, we would go back to the drawing board and see how we could make it better. We just wouldn't go, okay, well, we'll do better next time. No, we would sit there and analyze it and see how we could make it better and how those mistakes wouldn't be done again. That's what we did. And I think, it showed in our work and how we were. And being able to be on the same page, it's very important for tag teams to do that. Animal and Hawk were a great example, which is why they were together for so long, because they were always on the same page. Animal knew what Animal had to do. Hawk knew what he had to do, and their roles of being the Road Warriors, well, the Dudleys were the same way. And when you can get that chemistry, when you can get that bond, when you can get something like that to, be as one, the sky's the limit.
Who were your tag team influences in that regard when it comes to, both chemistry and philosophy and how you guys worked in the ring?
I don't really think that me and Devon ever looked at one particular team. We just knew what we needed to do to make us special and make us successful. The very, very, very first thing we knew that we needed was a tag team finish. And this tag team finish had to be different and new and unique and be able to hit out of nowhere. And that's, when we invented the 3D, the Dudley Death Drop, which I'm proud to say is probably up there amongst the greatest finishes of all time. And that's what gave us a uniqueness, and that's what set us apart from the rest. My influences as a young kid, were the Wild Samoans and Garea and Martel and the Strongbows and all of those great tag teams from late 70s WWF tag team wrestling. And I always knew that I wanted to be a part of a tag team because I thought 4 guys could be more entertaining than 2. Me and Devon never sat there and said, hey, we want to be like the Road Warriors or we want to be like this guy. We wanted to be the first version of the Dudleys, and we were.
Love it, love it.
And the thing about it is, coming up with 3D, our little brother, poor Spike, had to be the guinea pig. and receiving different ways of hitting 3D. So, again, I like to go out there and apologize to Spike because Lord knows not only did we beat him up outside of the ring, but we beat the hell out of him inside the ring as well.
Nobody took a bump like Spike, but this is a natural transition here. I mean, you guys are going in as a tag team, but obviously this started as a faction, as a family in ECW. So, even though, let's say, Paul Roma and Steve McMichael had minor roles in the history of the 4 Horsemen going in the Hall of Fame, they still, made a mark. They were part of that. For you guys, how important were the contributions of some of these original guys? Spike Dudley, Big Dick, Dances with Dudley, Sign Guy Dudley, Dudley, on and on and on. How big of a role or important was that to sort of establish you guys to get to the point where you are now?
Well, listen, a lot of those guys came before us, and they were important to the initial characters of the Dudley Boyz. And, me and Devon being a part of that family, there was just something different and special about me and Devon. And we don't say that with ego. We say that out of fact. We knew early on that it was us that was getting the job done and making the mark. Now, other than me and Devon, you really got to give a lot of credit to Spike. Spike was instrumental in helping me and Devon get to where we were because like Devon said earlier, we beat the piss out of Spike for years and years and years. And you can't just get over by yourself. You need somebody to help get you over. And Spike helped get us over by taking all of those beatings in ECW. And then when Spike came up to the WWE, he took some more beatings from us. So when you think of the Dudley Boyz, obviously you think of Bubba and Devon first, but Spike definitely is in the outskirts of the conversation.
I like
Absolutely.
that. I like the respect being shown there. A cool thing about, look, you're going to have some cool moments, right, from this being announced to walking on stage at the Hall of Fame, but I'm sure nothing was better than getting that call. So what is your specific story on how you guys found out about this?
Well, I was in Abu Dhabi because I'm now a producer for WWE working backstage, and we were on the live events for Raw, and I was in Abu Dhabi when I got the phone call at about 12 in the morning, and being told that I was going into the Hall of Fame. So it was an honor. It was something that I didn't know that was going to come so fast, but at the same token, I knew eventually it would happen. But again, I was honored and taken back by it because, again, I was never really at the point where I thought I was ready to just get to that point where being in the Hall of Fame, because to me, when you're in the Hall of Fame, that means you're done and you're finished and, that's it. And I do know that there's always a little bit left in the tank, but, so many Hall of Fame guys have been able to not only go into the Hall of Fame, but still get their feet wet in the ring here and there. So, again, I was very honored and just very happy to be able to get that phone call. And, when I got back to the States, thanking WWE and thanking everybody for making that happen.
I was actually at the Team 3D Academy at our location in Danbury, Connecticut, training students when I got the call. And got the call from Talent Relations from Mark Carano and said, hey, man, we want to put the Hall of Fame. I said, thanks, appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
What's with the no sell? Come on, that's a no sell right there.
I'm joking, but I'm serious. And the reason I'm serious is me and Devon have been hearing for so long from so many people, when you going in the Hall of Fame, when you going in the Hall of Fame, when you going in the Hall of Fame. People have almost programmed us to just expect it. And when you sit back and you look at your accomplishments, you don't look at it, in an egotistical manner or with bravado. You kind of look back at it and go, yeah, this is what we did. Most likely we're eventually going to get the call. So I don't think me and Devon were shocked that we got the call, but we were definitely honored that we got the call.
Absolutely.
You guys have such a great history of extreme, innovative matches. I mean, it should be in the first sentence of your legacy, the great triple threat TLC match with the Hardys and Edge and Christian at WrestleMania X7 as just an example. But what do you think specifically is the legacy of the Dudley Boyz?
The legacy of the Dudley Boyz is really the last of the Mohicans. We are the last legitimate great tag team that you most likely will ever see. The most old school, tag team that there is. I don't think you'll ever see another tag team go on to accomplish what we've accomplished, whether that's in the WWE or any place else. We really are the last of many, many generations of great tag teams. And when you think of our legacy from the fans' point of view, I hope that they just can always sit back and say, whether we love those guys or we hated those guys always worked their asses off to entertain us. And from a fellow wrestler point of view, I just hope the guys sit back and go, you know what? Sometimes the Dudleys were great to work with. Sometimes they were a pain in the ass to work with. But we always made money with them, and we always tore the house down.
In talking to Edge and Christian, it's just amazing how, we did those TLC matches almost 15 years ago, and people still remember it as if it was yesterday. I mean, you've created so much history with those matches, and, each time we did it, we made them better. And to be able to go into WrestleMania and steal the show 2 years in a row with so many great guys that were on that card, that's a testament to how good those matches were and how legendary they were. So, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys, would not have done it without each other. And being able to create history like that, just proved how good and how determined we were to be the best at what we did, and we did it. So, I'm very honored and privileged to have been in the ring with those guys, and, just Bubba and I having the success that we've had even after we were done with those programs with those guys, and to continue to make history, is just our legacy will go on no matter what. It's going to be very hard for any other tag team to try to come into this business to try to create or even surpass what Bubba and I have done.
We mentioned the Hardys, we mentioned Edge and Christian, and they could very well be the answer to this, but is there a team above all that should specifically go down as your definitive rivals, even if it's just based on how much fun and chemistry you had with them?
It really is the Hardys and Edge and Christian, but if we had to narrow it down to one, it would probably be the Hardys, because at the Royal Rumble 2000 is where the Hardys and the Dudleys had the first ever tag team tables match. And that was the first match that helped me and Devon put ourselves on the map in the WWE. The Hardys had success with Edge and Christian in the latter matches before we got around. So we had, I believe, more, just a slight more, not chemistry, but the Hardys meant a little bit more to the Dudleys as far as helping us move forward, because if you look at history, even once we left the WWE, in some way, shape, or form, a Hardy and Dudley feud continued, whether that was me and Jeff Hardy in TNA or me and Devon versus the Hardys in TNA or any of the stuff that me and Matt did, overseas. the Hardys and the Dudleys have always been synonymous. So I believe it would be them.
And I guess one of the biggest ones, I think, I don't ever want to forget, because without this person, I don't think the Dudleys would have been, I say, as big with tables, is Mae Young. I mean, Mae Young, after putting her through a table, I mean, forget it. I mean, who else goes around taking an 80-year-old woman and popping up on somebody's shoulders to only put her through the table, and then to do it a second time, off the stage? I mean, Mae Young, in my opinion, is the toughest wrestler, male or female, that ever set foot in the WWE ring. And, again, much respect. May she rest in peace. But, my God, Mae Young definitely helped us as well.
All right, I want to get right on that. We just had Raw 25. We talk about some of the greatest moments in Raw history. March 13th, 2000, Mae Young off the stage, powerbomb through a table. Bubba Ray, your eyes, that zoom in on your eyes is as iconic a moment as your tag team maybe has ever had. So talk to me about working with Mae. How nervous are you? What are the conversations like beforehand? Because the impact of that moment, you can't even put words onto it.
I've done plenty of interviews in the past where I've told people exactly how it went down. The first time we ever laid our hands on Mae is when we slammed her in the middle of the ring, and we gave her the "What's Up" headbutt off the top rope. And I remember when I slammed Mae, I put her down very gingerly and made sure I took care of her as you would an 80-year-old woman or somebody in the business, as long as she has been, deserves. And once the segment was over and we got into the back, that lady walked right up to me. She grabbed me by the wrist as hard as she could, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Hey, hotshot, if you're going to slam me, you slam me like one of the boys." And right then and there, I knew I was dealing with an old school, grizzled veteran. Like, she wasn't trying to, play the role. Not that an 80-year-old woman would have to. She was being legitimate. This lady's been a wrestler for close to 60 years, and she's telling me, you don't have to take it easy with me. Let's do this, and let's do this the right way. And then when you watch us put her through a table the first time in the ring, or the super bomb off the stage the second time, I had no fear, because I knew Mae was all in on the spot, and she wanted to do it, and she wanted to help get us over. And I witnessed the lady with my own eyes tell Vince McMahon that she wanted us to super bomb her off the top of the steel cage.
That's ridiculous. That is from what you know about meeting her, why is she that committed to providing that type of moment at that age?
Crazy might be one of them.
It's crazy, but whenever Mae would talk about this stuff, she'd always have a giant smile on her face. I think she was having fun. Because, when you think of Mae Young's name really did not get popular until she had come back to the WWE, and she did her big, did the relationship with Mark Henry, and then she did what she did with the Dudleys. So Mae kind of was in the shadows and was, was in the fabulous Moolah shadows for so long that I think at 80 years old, she was finally getting her chance to shine, and she was enjoying every last bit of it.
And I think the key word is fun. What Bubba said, she was having fun. People ask us, how the hell did you be able to take the punishment that you took in ECW? Well, we were having fun. The Dudleys were having fun. Listen, when the camera stopped rolling and Bubba and I were in our hotel rooms, did we feel the pain? Absolutely. But when we were about to go through that curtain, and when we did go through the curtain, when we got in that ring, we didn't feel it. We were going out there entertaining, and we were having fun. And even though every chair shot, every table bump, every thumbtack, whatever we did that was crazy in ECW, although it would have killed the lesser man, it drove us. It drove us to not only be the best, but to continue doing what we're doing, and that was entertaining people. But again, the key word, just having fun.
No doubt about it.
And I think that's what happened, and that's what happened, and that's, I believe, was Mae. She was having fun.
even though you guys accomplished so much more after leaving ECW, you going in, it's a victory for the lineage and the history of ECW. You guys will represent ECW. I've never had a better time than a ECW house show in a bar in New Britain, Connecticut in 1998. I tell everybody it's my favorite story. Unless you were there, you just don't know how raw and real and out of control that was. How proud are you guys to bring ECW with you into the Hall of Fame?
It probably means more to me than anything else. Yes, going into the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame is cool. But being the first original act ever created in ECW is really a big deal. ECW meant so much to us, and it meant so much to wrestling fans. And to me, that is, it's a great honor to represent a company that revolutionized and changed the wrestling business. I always said that ECW was the Napster of the wrestling business. Napster may have went out of business, but it changed the way people listen to music. ECW went out of business, but it changed professional wrestling forever. And there's a reason why people still chant ECW. They don't chant WCW, they don't chant NWA, they don't chant AWA. They chant ECW because it's a product and a promotion that gave them what they want and did it their way. And that's how me and Devon did it. We did it our way. I'm not talking about the Frank Sinatra version of my way. I'm talking about the Sex Pistols version of my way.
And I don't think anybody out there can deny that the Attitude Era wasn't an influence of ECW.
Very true, very true. And, Paul Heyman is a big part of that legacy. And how much do you guys give credit to him for the success you've had?
Well, listen, Paul is the guy that allowed me and Devon to form as a team. I'll never forget the night that I went up to Paul and I said, listen, Bubba Ray as a babyface is just not working anymore. Me and Devon have tremendous chemistry. What if you let us try to do something together? And he looked at me, he put his pencil down, and he said, okay, let's give it a try. So he rolled the dice on an act that was never planned to be successful. It's not like me and Devon were put together with this big story in place, and we're going to push these guys to the moon, and we got all these big plans for them. That never happened with me and Devon. Me and Devon just always did it our way and forced people to notice us, forced promotions and promoters to notice us, and have to book us into certain situations.
And you guys contributed so much, from your legendary catchphrases that we still pop for, was up, testify, Devon, get the tables, and all of that. And to close, guys, when you stand up there and you get inducted into the hall and you have your moment and you stand out in front of the crowd, is there going to be a time you'll reference back in your head? You'll think back to how hard it was in the beginning, or what do you think your emotions will be, whether emotional or not, in that time frame when you get there?
Well, I know, me getting to where I am, a kid from Brooklyn, New York, born in the projects, and my mother had me as a teenager with no father, and my grandmother being the fifth of that family to hold us together. The emotions, are overwhelming for me, because knowing that statistically I wasn't supposed to be as successful as I was. And I proved everybody wrong who said that it wouldn't happen. People dream. They dream all the time. But it's you, the individual, making that dream come true. And there was no one that was going to stand in my way to be able to stop me from telling me that I wasn't going to be one of the best wrestlers that I could be and give it my all. And again, for a kid to come out of Brooklyn and the projects and to go through what I went through and working 5 jobs and taking care of my twin boys and my wife at the time, the struggles that they went through leading up to all of that, you couldn't make it all up if you tried. The success that came out of that it's to me just it's overwhelming how sometimes I do just sit back and kind of my eyes tear up because of the fact knowing the hell and what I put my body through and everything that I put my family through to get to where I am today to be successful. You know, I can only thank God because without him in my corner guiding me through it, I don't think I would have been able to be as successful as I was with Bubba. And again, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to go into this Hall of Fame knowing that all the hard work, all the determination, and all of those people that said that I couldn't do it, they're all sitting back with their mouths wide open talking about he did it.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to stand there and I'm just going to soak it all in. And, you know, like Devon said, you know, I'll be thanking God too, because God is the one that is taking care of me and Devon physically. You don't put your body through what we have put it through over the past 25 years and just walk away. And that's what we've been able to do. We've just walked away. So there are plenty of people that deserve thanks in helping us get to where we are. But I'm going to really soak in that moment because this moment will only happen once. And I remember right before we went through the curtain at TLC 2 in the Houston Astrodome, our time had got cut from like 25 minutes to, 18 minutes or something like that. And I turned to the rest of the guys and I said, no matter what, when you go out on that stage, take a second to smell the roses because we belong here. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm sure Devon's going to do that too. I'm going to take a second to smell those roses because I'm quite proud of the accomplishments of two guys that nobody thought would ever get there.
Bubba Ray, Devon, congratulations. Thank you so much for being generous with your time, and look forward to seeing you there Friday, April 6th in New Orleans, WrestleMania 34 weekend at the Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.